Okay.
How's it going?
It's going okay. I don't know. Okay, I'm not really sure what the format should be of this. It's already deteriorating the moment that we start talking on a podcast. It's whatever. Okay.
Well, you know what? Hey, dude, you're great.
No, it's not. It's not the point that if I'm like great or bad. It's just more of an issue of making a podcast with my dad instead of my friends.
Yeah.
Because
I'm so knowledgeable. Yeah. I'm so knowledgeable. That's why.
I'm knowledgeable. I guess I have to ask you better questions. I guess that's what could make this engaging. Is me asking questions.
Yeah. You're pretty knowledgeable too.
I mean, I guess, especially when it comes to nature these days, just because, all my graphic design projects are focused around that right now. I'm currently learning about biomimicry. Biomimicry.
What? I don't even know what biomimicry is. What's that? That sounds like...
Neither did I.
It sounds like cloning.
Kinda, yeah. It's about like art and design mimicking nature. It's just a fancy word for that. I got it from my professor, so...
Cool. Yeah. Cool. Well, you know what? What happened this week? What really was sticking with me is Microsoft's embedding AI in all of its Windows operating systems. How do you like that?
I don't like it. Or at least you've been talking about it a lot, and it doesn't sound like it's great, but I think you should break it down for what that actually means.
Well, what do you think it means?
I think it means Microsoft is using our information to, run its AI engines and enhance our workspace, maybe.
Yeah. But it also kind of means that your privacy is shot. And
to be fair, privacy has been shot for a minute. And we have a lot of conversations about privacy, but I don't think people care about privacy anymore.
Really?
Do you remember our discussion about privacy when I found it really, no offense, annoying to get on your browser?
Yeah.
I was just like, I have to re-put in all my passwords. And like, sure, I shouldn't be using Google, but is this necessary? I'm using your platforms now. The little thing you said with like splitting up your browsers into different like work, school, whatever, that's what made me transition over. But to be honest,
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It is cool. But I don't know, man. Privacy's dead. Also, privacy...
But what about... Okay, wait a minute. Wait. What about ideas? Yeah. What about that idea that you have? Like, that you... Like, think about this for a minute. You have this idea, and you put it down, and you want to share it with somebody, or you want to use AI to say, hey, go look at other stuff that would apply here. And as soon as you do that, your idea is no longer secret. It's no longer yours. It's out there in the world. Doesn't that freak you out a little bit?
Yeah, it did, until I've been having discussions with my friends. And do you know the concept of collective intelligence?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what Mechanical Turk is?
What?
Do you know what Mechanical Turk was? Do you know what it was?
Mechanical Turk?
Mechanical Turk. Turk. Like Turkey, Turk, like Turkey, the country, Turkey, the bird, Mechanical Turk.
Yeah, what does that mean?
So Amazon came up with this, and what it did is it was a tool that let things be created in little micro elements all around the world. And it kind of was this mechanical Turk comes from a historic term of this machine, and it used people to input collective intelligence and create really cool stuff. It was really quite an interesting experiment back in the day. So yeah, collective intelligence is one thing, but what about this idea of who originated that thought? Like, seriously, I mean, you don't want collective intelligence to become just ubiquitous, like everybody's got the same idea.
I know, but that's already like prominent. You know what I mean? We have another Willy Wonka remake, another Willy Wonka movie. There's no more creativity out there. There's no more original thought or original production at any level.
Right.
And it's just like, I feel like AI is just like the period in this like sentence of the 20th century where it's just like your creativity is ours and it's dead. So it's just like, I don't know. Also,
so are wait. Okay. So are you guys okay with that? Your generation, you're okay with creativity being dead?
I don't know, man. That's the other thing I was thinking about too. It's like
you okay with the planet being dead?
When I am at school and I'm seeing some stuff going on, I'm just not sure like what creativity actually means to people these days. Because in the world and like in the way we have all of this information accessible to us, it just is this overwhelming amount of creatives or of information and data and whatever that we, oh my God, sorry. There is a car honking outside and it's really—
That's okay. You're in a city, dude. I live in a on a little island, so I never hear cars honk.
Yeah, you're really lucky for that because that alarm is not stopping.
I can't hear it. I can't.
Okay. But I can, and that's the issue. No, but anyways, like, yeah, with creativity and stuff, and even like trying to find the next big thing or the next like new idea or whatever, it just feels like there's so many things, and you could look at any person's mind throughout all of human history and in the present. It's just like, it feels like there's no such thing as creating anything new, right? And there's no such thing, like, in my mind, I used to think AI was like a bad thing, but now I just feel like it's what we deserve as people, just by like the process of documenting ourselves and like the process of just being in society. It just seems like creativity is like, I don't know, it's just dead. It's dead.
And you're okay with that?
No, of course I'm not okay with that.
Does that mean?
Like, what are you trying to like fight against? It's the same thing with our assignments. You know what I mean? We're doing the same assignments that every other kid has ever done. Like, that's so irritating. And it's just like, of course, people are going to use AI to do that for them. And of course, Microsoft is going to come in with this like proposition of like, hey, check it out. I'm going to help you finish your essays and stuff. Like, you know, like,
so does there feel like there's purpose in that to you?
No, of course there's not purpose in it. And there is
okay,
like
so,
some sort of like,
look,
but people don't care.
Yeah, you're in your 20s, okay? So you're in your 20s and you're sitting there saying creativity's dead and everything. What do you have to look forward to? And
nothing. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
And pretty dark. That's pretty dark.
Well, that's kind of what like our generation is at. I was literally just texting my friend about that, and she said Antarctica has flowers growing on it now. Think about that. I looked up, you know what? You love meat, don't you? You love eating meat?
Yeah.
You should stop. You should become a vegan. I'm doing a research project on deforestation and agriculture.
I tried vegan. I tried it. It didn't work for me.
660 gallons of water for one burger. One tiny little quarter pounder burger is 660 gallons of water.
I don't eat burgers like very often. I hardly ever eat burgers.
Sure. But it's any piece of meat that you have. Think about that for a burger. Think about a good cut, quality meat.
Okay, so let's talk about creativity then. How about some creative ideas on how to solve some of these world problems?
We have enough creative ideas on how to solve these world problems, and nothing comes of it. We have every single resource available. There's no action. There's no sorting. And everybody is too... Okay. Because people are obsessed with individualism, and their idea is having the most value instead of...
So basically it boils down to what you're saying is it boils down to there's no profit in it.
Yeah, that too.
Right. So, and that's kind of where we get to is when, as soon as you start doing things and you put profit only at the center of all these things, then nothing else matters, including the planet, creativity, privacy, people's security and individual identity. Nothing else matters. And you just have these large operating organizations that dominate everything according to what they think the world should be. Isn't that kind of what stepping up at your generation's age should be looking at and saying, no, I don't want to do that anymore?
Yeah, I think what you said is in the field of what I said. So you're right. That totally makes sense. It's just corporate profit that's really ruining everything.
Well, or this idea of, competing for the sake of gathering more power and more aggregation instead of distributing that, to your point, collective thought, like giving people more access and letting some of these ideas get up there and be part of a solution that kind of the community thinks should be the solution, not what, some billionaire thinks should be the solution.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm not getting there for you?
No, I think you're getting there for me. Yes, but I keep zoning out, so it's like whatever. I'm not usually this much of a hater. I'm just in a mood today. The deforestation thing really gets me. I am in a mood.
I've seen you in these moods. I saw you in these moods when you were little.
Oh, I feel like a child again. I think it's the bangs. This is turning me back into the little like Asian and all those.
You know that we had to postpone this podcast because the bangs, but they did fix them. They look good. I think it looks good.
I mean, yeah, at least I can tuck them back still. It's just my cowlick is not agreeing with them.
Okay, so I got another one for you. Game of Thrones sued OpenAI for stealing Game of Thrones. You think that's okay?
But it's not okay.
I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I know it's a super popular movie or TV show.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that kind of just brings back to like the TV, like, about the writer's strike, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, actually, that's another one. Spotify, the CEO of Spotify said, we're not going to block AI on Spotify. And he says, we're not going to block all AI, right? And then, what is it?
Well, they have that AI DJ, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, well, who was, I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Hosier?
You're asking the wrong person for pronunciation. I know who you're trying to.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, he said, "I'm going to strike." Because AI is doing to my industry. So, like, I think there's this use of AI that's good. I think there's this use of privacy and creativity that can be good. I just think the application of it's pretty scary right now. Like the guys who actually have this huge power aren't giving consideration to those things you're talking about. This idea of collective human intelligence. And if collective human intelligence doesn't happen and artificial intelligence collects, then you got a problem.
Well, the reason why I brought up collective intelligence is simply because, like, I was thinking about the origin of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Because we'd like to assume that we have our own, originality or individualism when it comes to, like, our ideas and our expression, but do we? Because, like, by virtue of us just speaking the English language right now, it means, like, all of, like, our thoughts and our context and our communication comes from a lot of other people.
Well, it comes from all kinds. If you look at linguists, the English language and the origin of language comes from a combination of all kinds of languages. Like, for example, I learned this. The word ketchup actually originated in China.
That's cool.
Yeah. And the word punch, like punch, right?
Yeah.
It is a Hindi word that came from the number 5. Punch. So what happened was back in England, when this English language was being formed, you had people from all over the world coming into and marrying and having conversations and so forth, and they started building upon these various languages, and Anglo-Saxon language came out of that, which ultimately became English, and then British English, and American English, and Canadian English, which is a whole other English combination of everything, and that's how the language came. So that I was thinking about the origin of thought, and it's not that, and quite often thoughts are simultaneous. Like we drive and have thoughts like we're doing right now on top of other thoughts. That's how the computer industry is was created. The entire idea of computers was created all the way back to who's credited as the first computer programmer, which was a woman named Ada Lovelace, and Ada was a strange daughter of Lord Byron, who was a poet. And there's a great story about that. But yeah, it's all iterative. And so this concept of iteration is what's so critical to human creativity. And if you take that away and you just take all this data and let it be aggregated and literally stolen, taken, and training these machines, all of a sudden the machines are doing all the creation based on this. And this is where what people are missing. Humans are not coded machines. We're coded by what our parents do. Sorry about that, because I know you had to be raised with me. And we're coded by the environment we're raised in and things like that. Machines are coded by a bias of whatever we create in that programming. So if we're going to create what I like to call is authenticated intelligence instead of artificial ignorance, then I think we need to get rid of the ignorance at the consolidation phase and go back to what you said, collective human thought, and let everybody have a contribution so you have more of a social impact on this idea of AI. And that's why putting all this data out and letting one or two or three machines, one or two or three big corporations really dominate like we did in the internet is a bad idea, in my opinion.
I agree too. And it's not so much like AI is like a technology or like a source of information is bad, but I think it's the profiting off of it that Microsoft is probably, because they've spent like billions and billions.
13.5 billion into OpenAI so far.
So and that's expecting to like at least double those profits, right? If not like quadruple.
That's just a fraction of what it would have cost them. That's the investment in OpenAI that's disclosed. It's a fraction of what it would cost them to hire all the developers and everything to embed it into this giant ecosystem and platform they have. And when I talk about privacy, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, nothing we do is actually sitting on Microsoft for that reason. So we built it so that we're distributed across all these different clouds, and that the BlockCerts platform is built in many, many ways. And then pretty much anybody that gets on it gets to control their own data. That's where I think people miss the boat a lot about what privacy actually means. It doesn't mean every piece, excuse me, you should be pissed off, but every piece of data is important. Doesn't mean every thought you have is important, but it does mean that if you want in any sort of sense of freedom or individuality, you need to take consideration of that, Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen you do your artwork and things like, graphic design and all that. I think is brilliant, but that's your brilliance, and that should stay your brilliance. And if you originated something, you have the right to say, yeah, I originated that. Here, it's marked right there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what these artists are saying too. It's like, it's fine if I want to let AI do that, but at least give me the credit for it. At least give me a little bit of input for it, But just to take it and allow anybody to do anything, then there's no ownership. There's no opportunity for anybody. And I hate that for your generation.
Mostly.
There's no credit. Credit is exactly how, like it or not, how economics works. Right?
Yeah.
That's
what do you mean by that?
What's that?
What do you mean by that? Credit is how economics works.
Well, when you have a finances in your bank account, right? It's yours. It's not the bank's. It's yours. But let me give you an example. Let me see if I can make this example stick. Silicon Valley Bank crashed. Okay. Here's what happened, actually. What happened was all of those deposits from all those startup companies were sitting at Silicon Valley Bank. And during COVID and the big boom of, say, 2020 to 2022, all this money went in there. What the banks do is they take that aggregated money, right? And instead of it just sitting there doing nothing, because in their bank, they have this thing called a reserve requirement. And they're only required to keep in cash, if you will, about 5% or less. You can look it up. I don't know what the number is anymore, but it's on the internet. So there's a thing called the reserve requirement. What happened is when FTX went down, it had a bunch of loans with a bank called Signature Bank, and that lost $8 billion. It forced that bank out of business. Then everything, like the whole ecosystem of investing in these startups and stories and all the hype stuff, started collapsing, so there was no more money coming into the system. Little companies, little startup companies like BlockCerts and things like that need to make their payroll. People need to, like you, need to get paid, right? So they went to the bank, to Silicon Valley Bank, and they're like, we need to get our money out. And they all went out and kept going more frequently, taking that money out of that bank. In the meantime, out of Silicon Valley Bank. So in the meantime, what Silicon Valley Bank had done with the other whatever percentage it was, but let's say 95% of the money, is they had invested it in bonds, in actually government bonds. Well, during that same time frame, okay, this is explaining aggregation. Stick with me. The same time frame, interest rates started going up. When interest rates go up, bonds. What?
What year was this happening?
This was this year. It was 2023. Yeah. So interest rates start going up rapidly because they're trying to curb inflation. The bank had invested in these bonds. When interest rates go up, bonds go down. Bonds have a maturity, so they don't actually lose value if you hold them to maturity. But if you sell them too soon and interest rates have gone up, you're going to take a loss. They took a big loss because they didn't have the cash available to take and give all that cash back out to the depositors. And they went bankrupt and became the largest bank failure in history. $200 billion, I believe, something like that. Okay?
Crazy that we just keep capping these like standards. I feel like we're always setting a new record.
We are.
If it's like bank failures, if it's whatever, it just keeps accelerating all the time. It's crazy.
And so if you use that as an example of setting a new standard of aggregation and aggregation gone wrong, now think of that as data. Think of putting all that data into a few engines, a few AI engines. Think of taking every cent, right, and putting it into a few things. You're bound for a big failure. Now, if that hadn't happened, right, if all these startups were still using banks and it wasn't all aggregated, or even if it was aggregated, they were looking and saying, hey, these are startups. These are guys that are going to be cash starved at some point. And they didn't make those decisions because it was basically poor management of their portfolio. They'd have been fine. If the startups were going in there and saying, hey, wait a minute, don't go put my stuff in long term because I'm going to need a bunch of that cash. If they were telling the banks that, and the bank was listening, they probably wouldn't have, and there wouldn't have been a problem. This is the idea of data. Data all being aggregated under one roof, or these few roofs, and then being coded in a way that it generates profit and it eliminates this idea of competition, it eliminates this idea of distribution, is a bad idea. All I can tell you is there's lots of examples of how that becomes a very bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did I explain it? Did that make any sense to you?
I think it makes so much sense. Banks and money, data and AI.
And what is a digital currency?
That's a great question. I did my little project in blockchain.
I know you did.
I know.
You should know the
digital
answer.
currency is like a unique serial code, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I don't understand all the time how it can get profit in it, but it's just about people putting money into the cryptocurrency, right?
But what is a cryptocurrency? Describe that. What is it?
Cryptocurrency is a digital form of finance. I don't know. How would you describe it? I literally
it's literally you just said it. You just don't know it. It's literally a piece of data. It's a piece of unique data. Unique data.
Right.
And the definition of you know why there's never been a fake Bitcoin?
It can't be.
Because of the way it's processed, and it's processed from the origin of the coin. So there's only one. That is the origin of thought. And when I started working on blockchain, I said, hey, if we can do that with money, we can do it with everything, with our data. That's the point. And now that's why banks and governments, Bitcoin had a huge impact. But everybody thinks the impact was creating the cryptocurrency market, which it was. But more importantly, now Europe, the United States, I think Korea, they all have what are called CBDCs, Central Bank Digital Currency. Canada, Central Bank Digital Currencies. Canada actually had one. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
They built it, and then they gave up on it back in like 2013. Now they're building it again. But anyway. Point is,
did you talk to Trudeau about that?
I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to say, JT, that was not a. But anyway,
okay.
The point is that it's still data, right? And by documenting that data and that origin, you now have this idea that money could be decentralized. So yes, you guys can do something about all these little ideas and things and big ideas and things that aren't getting implemented, because you can just simply start decentralizing. That's what Bitcoin did. Just do it with your data. And you know what? It'll evolve. When I started with Bitcoin, it was 10 cents. None of us knew what it was. Like we lost more Bitcoins sitting on our servers playing around with it. Like it's probably millions of dollars. Right? So the point is, don't discount ever your idea or your little coins that are coming out of your head. They're super important. You just don't know yet.
I guess it's like our interpretation of the information we're like consuming. So
well, I kind of get the sense, and I think we should wrap up, but I kind of get the sense. Yeah. I kind of get the sense, especially with your little bad mood today, is
not a bad mood. I swear to God, I'm just thinking about more how like everything you do isn't really your own. You know, like we have this idea, and I learned about this in class about like the two linguistic models of politics. So there's a Latin one, which is called like civis, right? Civatus or something, and it's about how yourself can't exist without other people around you. And then in the Greek model, Polaris or whatever, which is the one that we've been living by for like 500 years, that is individualism. And that's where like individualism comes in play when it comes to politics. And I was just bumming me out because I was like, people are so obsessed with like individuals and like themselves, just like on just a normal level, like we were programmed into thinking that way because it's been like our history for 500 years, right? But like you need, like, I don't know, I was just more thinking about how it's like impossible to exist without other people by like virtue of just speaking and talking. And it's just like this accumulation of information that we have now that is being sorted through with AI. Because you've mentioned this before, how much data is out there, right? And then like AI is like able to sort through all of that. And it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure where I'm going with these points.
Well, here's the point. Here's what AI can do, is it can take all that data we've already created and it can get through it, and it can, as you said, create this collective intelligence and iterative new thoughts and new ideas. But we can also take this idea that Bitcoin and blockchain proved and mark those ideas as the origin of idea. And then who knows, maybe your 10-cent Bitcoin idea becomes worth something that's your career or your future, or, or a bigger idea. And more people have an opportunity to it. And if you give all the data off to these big companies, you don't have that opportunity. Just like if you put all that money in one bank and that bank makes bad decisions, you also could lose all your money.
Yeah, but the issue is like we don't have an alternative to participating on these platforms, Like
absolutely you do. It's called BlockCerts. What do you think I've been doing for 20 years? 25 years next year. Are you kidding me? You don't have an alternative. That's why I'm doing this podcast.
You are the
I'm the only guy. I get that. Yeah, I know.
Artificial intelligence issues.
I know I'm the only guy, but you know what? We got some great people out there that are helping do this and that believe in BlockCerts and BCerts, and some of them are even my age or maybe even older. I know that that's hard to believe, but yeah, we're the only guys doing it, but there are other people that want to do it or are participating in it. It's just not the big guys. You would never
sell your stuff to Microsoft, would you?
I don't think Microsoft could handle me.
That's true. Yeah.
I've known Microsoft for a long time. Many years.
I've been stalking you for a minute now.
You know what?
I wanted to ask you.
Okay, what?
No, this is like a totally off-topic thing, but it's more just like what my friend was asking about. There's been like a big talk about quantum computing, right?
Yes.
And quantum computing being able to break the blockchain. What is your response to that?
My response is this. We're going to do another podcast, right?
Yeah.
Your bangs will even be better. Your bangs will even be better next time. Honest, I promise.
It will be down.
Yeah. So we'll do another podcast, and I'm going to answer you. Quantum computing, check market, put it in the comments when this gets posted up there. And we're going to talk about quantum computing, blockchain, and AI. Okay, I'm going to tell you my future. That's going to be my future predictions of what's happening with quantum computing. Okay,
all of them combining to like the next tech avatar. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, I'll even throw in some metaverse stuff there. Tell you all about that.
That'd be sick. That'd be so cool.
Okay, cool. Hey, thanks. This was fun. It was a lot more fun than our old world from here. So thanks for helping me bring this back, Soph. It's bring some more topics to the table. Have your friends keep texting and asking questions. Yeah. That's a good question.
They keep asking questions all the time. Yeah, of course. Maybe we can bring one on and interview you, because that'd be kind of funny.
That would be fun. Yeah, find somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll bring some old guys on too and interview you.
Yeah, but it's a possibility, I guess. Yeah. Thanks for doing the podcast with me.
Okay. All right.
You get so many other children options, but
okay. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you soon. But yes,
not in the reading break, but
maybe not during reading break.
Christmas, probably.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for doing this.